Monster Jam, somebody's lost a kid's shoe.
Oh my gosh!
Welcome to a little bit of a different kind of video today. As many of you probably already know, for the month of October, I toured around Australia, or mainly Melbourne and Sydney, with Reagan and Wayne for the Monster Jam Australian tour. Now, last year, I actually filmed stuff for a vlog that I was supposed to put out, but a fair chunk of it was filmed on Wayne's phone, and if you know Wayne like I do, you just don't get half the footage that he films on his phone. So as a result, I unfortunately didn't get it out. Anyway, this year, I wanted to present it in a little bit of a different way. So without further ado, here is the 2023 Monster Jam Australian Tour vlog. On Thursday, the 5th of October, me and my dad flew out to Melbourne for stop 1 and met up with Wayne once again and Reagan for the first time. I'm sure most of you already know already, but last year was my first time meeting Wayne, but Reagan wasn't there. He was touring the US and like Glendale and all the other shows. But this year was the first time I got to meet Reagan. We mostly just chatted for the rest of the evening and met up with some of the Monster Jam guys. One guy that deserves an extra special mention is Shane. He is from Paxton, Illinois, and he works with Tom Menz for the most part, and works on some of Tom's trucks, the stunt trucks, you name it. Basically, whatever's happening in Paxton, he's usually helping there. But when he's not, he's touring at shows, working on all sorts of different trucks, and he really wanted to come do this tour in Australia. Turns out, he was a big fan of all of ours, so that was pretty cool. Come Friday, and we basically just explored the city of Melbourne, showed Reagan around, and checked out some pretty awesome spots. Later in the day, we headed down to Amy Park to catch practice. Now, normally, you wouldn't be able to check practice, since you'd have to be inside the stadium, and you wouldn't be allowed in. It's basically reserved for Monster Jam and venue staff. But Amy Park is so open that you can see the pit area where the trucks park, and there are TVs inside the stadium with glass doors where they display what's happening on the track. So it was cool to get to see some videos and see the trucks up close and personal.
In a world with his monster trucks in a land down under, the trucks will flip upside down and fly toward the space. This is incredible. This is Monster Jam.
Afterwards, we headed back to the hotel before shortly heading out to what was my first wrestling show. Turns out that not only was Monster Jam in town, but World Series Wrestling, an Australian promotion featuring some of the top tier wrestlers from the United States, as well as some fantastic Australian wrestlers, were also in town hosting their first stop on their week-long tour that Friday night. To cut a long story short, it just so happened that Reagan happened to be on the same flight as some of these wrestlers, as they were also flying into Melbourne for their wrestling show. Not only that, but Wayne happened to run into the AV manager, and after talking to him a little bit about wrestling and monster trucks, we were invited to come check out these shows on that Friday night. As I just said, I've never been to a wrestling show before, so this was my first experience. And let me tell ya, if you've never been to a wrestling show before, it's a completely different experience than a monster truck show, but it's freaking awesome. The vibe there was great. Everyone is cheering and screaming and having a fantastic time. Watching it live as well is so much better than watching it on TV. And there were so many amazing matches made even better by getting to see it with our own eyes. Well, until Reagan fell asleep. My one claim to fame is that I started some wrestling chants.
You're a corner! You're a corner! Put your leg down! Put your leg down! Put
were some great matches, but easily the highlight of the night was the guy dressed up as Shrek. He was just as involved in the show as the wrestlers were, and everyone in the crowd were constantly cheering for him, and the wrestlers got him involved, which was pretty awesome. After the show, we met up with the promoter and the AV manager again, and we talked about how amazing the show was and what a great experience it was. Not only did we snag a free t-shirt, which, by the way, holy crap, this is an awesome t-shirt. Shout out to whoever designed this. Anyway, it just so happened that when we were in Sydney for Monster Jam next week, there was also the final stop on World Series Wrestling's tour, which was also in Sydney. So we were actually invited to come check it out once again, and I couldn't say no. After the experience that I had, I wanted to go again, and we all did as well. So after the amazing wrestling show, we headed back to our hotel to get ready for the first stop on Monster Jam's tour. One early wake up later, and we headed down to the pit party. For once, it wasn't super hot, which it had been in previous years in Melbourne. We got around to 6 out of the 8 drivers and even ran into some awesome fans. Me and Wayne even filmed a predictions video with Austin, a fan we had met last year who was thrilled to be back at Monster Jam and meet us once again.
What do you think? Who do you think's going to take the wins here today?
Well, I feel like for racing today, I've gone with Bari Musawa because, again, Series Blue, he was really good in racing this year, and it looks like he'll have the upper hand against some drivers out there today. And then for freestyle, I've gone with Miranda, Kozad, and Thor to pick up the win. She's been doing really good freestyles lately. Hopefully we can see a backflip from Miranda. And the overall, I've got to go with Blake Granger, Max D. He'll be very consistent today, and hopefully he can walk over the event.
Looking forward to it. 2 shows today. It's going to be awesome. We're going to see the Chucky dance later, and we're going to see a lot of trucks throw it down.
If you have an Instagram and want to support this guy, make sure to check out Austin's Instagram at AUS_jam on Instagram. A shame the interview was on Wayne's phone, because if it was, we could have put it out earlier, and then, yeah. Anyway, it was time for the first show, and it was pretty solid. The new racing style was fun, which made racing great to watch, and freestyle was pretty damn wild. After the show, we headed back and got ready for the second show of the night. And let me tell ya, show 2 was completely off the hook. Crazy races, crazy finishes, amazing freestyles and moments, and just a really fun night of action. The highlight of my night, though, was Charlie Porkin's unreal save. With that came an end to week 1. Wayne and Reagan had most of the week to check out Sydney and explore the city, while me and Dad headed back to Brisbane, where we just got to recharge and get ready for the new week. At first, it was kind of sad because we really wanted to hang out with them more and have some amazing nights, but I ended up getting really, really sick. And I also had a destroyed voice from yelling at the wrestling shows and Monster Jam. That didn't stop me from recording that bonus time episode, though I've certainly had better experiences recording videos, but still.
Spoiler alert, guys. I'm very sorry. My voice is dead.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Come Thursday, I was starting to feel a lot better, and we headed down to Sydney to get ready for the second stop of the Australian Monster Jam tour. On Friday, we met up with Wayne and Reagan again and filmed some stuff outside of Core Stadium, which will hopefully be out soon. We also got attacked by flies. Contrary to last year, it thankfully wasn't bucketing down with rain, but it was hot enough to attract a horde of flies that were really damn annoying. Later that night, we headed down to Penrith to check out World Series Wrestling's final event for their tour, and we were very excited. My dad unfortunately didn't come down with us to the Melbourne event, but after much convincing, or begging, he joined us for the Sydney event, and it was pretty awesome. I think he appreciated it in the end, because we had even more great matches, funny moments. We had an absolute blast. A huge shout out to the crew that put on these events. They had sellout shows all throughout their tour, and they were super welcoming and awesome, and we had an amazing time at these shows. If you ever get the chance to catch a wrestling show, or if you're in Australia, especially check out their shows. You absolutely should. I guarantee you, you will have the time of your life. I'm just here hoping that next year for Monster Jam's Australian tour, that their tour lines up with ours. But maybe that's a little bit of wishful thinking. We also checked out the post-show meet and greet and talked to a bunch of the wrestlers and Speedball Mike Bailey, who we got a photo with, who was a really awesome guy to talk to. Afterwards, we headed back to our hotel to get ready for the second stop of the Australian Monster Jam tour. Saturday came, and thankfully, it wasn't an early morning start. We had all of the morning to chill out and get ready for the afternoon pit party, where we met Charlie and Chelsea and talked to Miranda once again, and also checked out the trucks. We also found someone's lost shoe.
Hey, what's the latest news, Bobby Parr?
Hey, tonight's news, Israel is being invaded, but at Monster Jam, somebody's lost a kid's shoe. So if your shoe matches the other shoe that they have out there, which is a children's size tree, it's rather a blue color little shoe. And if you can present your other shoe, hey, Shane!
And we met Shane again and watched him put on the body for El Toro Loco along with some of the other Monster Jam crew guys. The show had its highlights. Racing was pretty normal other than an epic final race. And skills was as good as usual, but freestyle, oh man, that was pretty entertaining. Chelsea, Miranda, Charlie, and Blake especially all had phenomenal runs, and really all drivers did fantastic that night. Overall, it was much better than Melbourne Show 1, but in my opinion, it wasn't as good as Melbourne Show 2. With that, the show was over. We had one final day to check out Sydney, and after that we were back for Brisbane to get ready for the final leg of the tour. We had some amazing steaks, and we may have partied a little bit too hard some nights.
New York! New York!
We also filmed one of my favorite podcast episodes I've ever filmed, and I know I keep promoting it, but seriously, it's pretty awesome. If you ever wanted to know more about us and what we do, our favorite parts about the events and all things traveling and Monster Jam, then that's the podcast for you. So be on the lookout for that very soon. Then we headed on up to the Gold Coast. We checked out some amazing beaches and restaurants, partied a little more, and did some karaoke. Saturday was unfortunately our last day, but a very fitting one at that. It was the last two shows of the tour, and it was a first time experience getting to check out what Seabus Stadium had to offer. Reagan also finally wore his custom shirt that we had made for him, as well as our versions which we had been wearing the whole tour. For me and my dad, this has been a regular thing for us to make shirts for the new tours. Unfortunately for show 1, me, Wayne, and my dad were sitting right in the sun for the whole show, and my god, it was hot. Not even sunscreen could save us from the sheer heat that day. The glare and dust was really bad, which not only affected us, but also affected the driver's vision during these events, which I'm sure they absolutely loved. Spoiler alert, I don't think they did. The show was pretty alright. The heat and glare, along with the dust, didn't help, along with the issue with the venue staff trying to prevent the crowd from moving when the trucks were driving or performing on the track.
Surrounded by 15 different people.
A quick return home to recharge and get ready for what was the final event of the tour. And man, what a finale to an amazing tour. I mean, we had great action all around. Every freestyle was great, crazy saves and crashes. It was just a fitting end to the whole tour. And one chicken palmy later, that was the end of our amazing 3-week trip. We all had the time of our lives, getting to meet new people, experience new things, and make everlasting memories, along with watching some pretty spectacular Monster Jam shows. To say that I am sad that it went so quickly is an understatement, and the same is felt by my dad, Reagan, Wayne, and literally everyone. It was one of the most fantastic times I've ever had in my entire life, and I cannot wait to do it again. And well, that is all for this vlog. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon with some more Monster Truck content.
Hey vlog, wait, I'm looking forward to it.